Yes, a very warm welcome to this session. In this session, we'll walk you through how to create user in SAP system. Not only that, we're going to see some functionality of these of SU01. Without further let's go ahead and hit SU01 as the transaction code for creating user SU01, and we say enter. And we do that, it's going to give us this page where we have access to many functionality. This is basically to enter, and this is when you want to create a user, you just put a user here. And user want to say Bob. No, that's too short. Let's give a different name like Nathan. So, Nathan, right? So good. So now we have Nathan there. We can say enter here. So we create that user. We can change after creation. We display if we want to. Then you can delete the user. You can eventually copy the user, or you can change. You can lock or unlock the password, and eventually you can change password. So these are the beautiful interface that SAP has here. And yes, let's go ahead and create the user by hitting on that button. It's going to give us this interface where you have Nathan name right there. Then you have many functionalities right here. We want to start from documentation, which is the very first one from the left. And this documentation section is more like a free tab, so it is admin comments about e.g. purpose of usage of the system, approval, and specific access nodes, and so to speak. So in this case, the description is basis, is SAP basis console, SAP basis training, training. That's all. So, and the responsible person should be the manager. We want to search for here, and in here we are now referring to user accounts. Let's find out what user we have here. We'll say star meet all, miss all. We just hit on that. It's going to give us all the user in the system, as you can see here. So we want to choose Anthony as the manager. Here, a documentation for use. Here you want to grayed out. You want to hit here to have the functionality to impute it. I have copied information because of time factor, just impute it in there. So one of the informations that are written there is the purpose, the model, the environment, the assets, and the owner, right? And the nodes. These are some of the things that are quite of standard that we put in here. The purpose is basically practice, in SAP, value, user management, role, authorization. The environment is the development environment, not production, just development. And the client is 100. These are the parameters that is working, be given to Nathan. And full access to learning, and learning for learning purpose. And the owner is training itself. And then you have nodes, so use only for testing and learning, not for production use. And then eventually want to assigned, or so assigned by by manager Anthony. There you go. Let's see enter. And after that we just say enter. So now we're done with that point, documentation. And the address functionality will give you access to add the name, and of course this is Jane, no, Nathan, sorry, Nathan, and then we have access to the next last name, Nathan, Nathan Garrett. So, and then you have academy, and then the full name is there eventually, And your language, you can choose from language. In this case, maybe you want to go for, let's say, German language. And in front here you have the functions where the person work at, and the communication type, all about communication. And now the company, you can actually write a company here by hitting on there. You can just input the company and save it right in the system. And after that, you have the log on. The log on, the log on controls how the users, this log on controls how the user log into SAP system and security settings. So it comes with, first of all, the alias. We want to say Nathan, so Nathan. So what's the second name? Let's just go back again. Garrett, yeah? Nathan dot G, right? And then the type of user is a dialog user, because we have 5 users in SAP system. The system user communication reference service. The dialog user is more like those that interact with the system, which is, most of those users are background users, system users, for example. And security policy is another thing that's very essential. It handles secure logins via authentication, called SSO, Secure Network SSO, right? So if a company has that policy, they just put it right there. And by so doing, they can bypass the password through that security policies. So here in the password section, there are 3 things to know here. You can generate by default, and you have those weird, password, or you can also here deactivate the password if you want to. And thirdly, you can add password manually, like so. And then eventually, the group. If you have a group in the system, you can just add the group into it, right? Let's say you want to create a group for that. Let's quickly do that by going to another section. The section is already out there. Go to a different section now, and then we want to create a group. Say SUGR, right? SUGR. I like to write, in the uppercase. Yes. So here I want to put on the group name, right? The group name this time I want to say finance, FI underscore group. Yes. After that, you want to just create it. When you create it, it's going to give you that functionality. You're going to say finance group. SAP finance group. SAP finance group. When you do that, you just say, okay, the system is already done. So when you now finally go back, just go on the section. When you go back again to our session, where we were, right here, okay. Yeah, that's where we were just now. So the group is here, the functionality. We want to go out here, and then we're going to find the group here, and then choose one of those groups. In this case, we want to choose this. We just created the FI just now, this one. We want to choose that for the basis. And now that it's done on the way, here the validation. Maybe this user is just there during the implementation period. It's only going to take for a week. Just give it today. We want to give you just 1 week. So to use the system. After the week, the system will automatically log out or lock the user. So here the account number and the cost center, which is very important functionality for the functional consultants. And you go to S and C, the secure network communication. And this is exactly what we had just now here. This security policy is the security network communication policies. If they have it, they can have the name that the company can include the name here in the system, so that we can then, when you hit on that, these things are going to show up. Now there's no security policy, but when there's one, should we put here so that we can find it. So this is a means why the organization bypass in the login functionality in SAP system. In other words, it's a single sign-on SSO. So the default is more like a default setting of how your system behave. For example, you language, when you log in your system, you want to have French immediately when you log in. You can see it there. You want to have German, for example, it's going to behave that way. Yeah, decimal notation. They have dates, and then you have here the time zone. These are just basic stuff, and then you have the printer. Here is another cool functionality that SAP put in the system that a user can use can actually have access directly to printer by hitting here. You can have access to, you can see star, which means all. Then you can basically just search. Then you're gonna find your printer and just add your printer to the system so that you can print directly from here directly with your printer. Yeah, that's in the time zone. Here, you want a time zone is CET, Central Europe, Eastern Europe. I see right here, Central Europe is harder than that. And then the card is more like a mechanism SAP has in the system. Is more, that helps in integration. Okay, so yeah, that's what it is. And you have parameters. You're giving certain parameters. Parameters are another beautiful functionality. You know, it stores user specific system parameters. So for example, company code, plant, sales organization, so to speak, and so on and so forth. And you have roles. Roles is very important. It defines what user is allowed to do in a SAP system. And to create this role, there's another transaction code called PFCG. That's where you create that role and then assign it to the user. And then this is profile. In the profile section, is a technical authorization object generated from role. Right? If you create a role in PFCG, automatically the system will generate a profile for that role. So SAP actually check profile behind the scenes. So user need not manually, but it's maintained. So in a way, when you create a profile, basically that a role profile being profiled by the system. And then the group we just mentioned about, we just created a group just now, right? So and then you have personalization. It's more giving you the functionality of it's called user specific UI preference, how your user interface should work or behave. And then lastly, we have the license data. This is again important for SAP because it defines the license type assigned to user. Yeah, so license type like professional. If the person is a professional, the user is professional, or is basically limited, or employee, etc. Because the impact is that as a SAP license cost, imparts the kind of cost that's being placed on the person. So for that reason, the contractual user type ID should be put in there in real time. Yeah, this is all about the whole, creating user, and of course, and after we've done that, before we go, we already had a password. We just want to say save. Now the system is saved. You can now see that the system it can be found. If you go back, you can actually look for these user very easily. If you go to a transaction like maybe let's try SUIM. You go to SUIM, and then that's just a user information system. That basically this gives you the depth, the full report of users. So like here you have a user here, you can basically um, yes, to find out where the user that has been created, to find out where they are in the system, in the table, you can just go here and as you just mentioned before, you go to role or you go to users, right? You go to users, you want to use user by system, user by role, and a profile. You can just basically choose one if you want, right? User by address data, I will choose this one here, and then you go right there. It's going to show you all the users in the system, right? The user, the company, and these are all the users. I want to find out. We just recently did Nathan, and this is the company. This is the first name, and the last name actually is there. Nathan Garrett is the last name. Garrett Nathan, and then you have of course, the company name. So this is one of the way you can do. So there are many ways you can always check that. There's another way you can also find out, which is a little bit easy, I guess. You want to go to SE16N or 16 SE16. You say enter, and then you want to say enter. You want to go to USR02 table. When you do that, you want to execute it. When you execute it, then it's gonna give you all the name of users in the system. Again, you have Nathan here, right? And then you see he belongs to a group. We just assigned this group to him, right? This is the group we created before, and it's assigned to that group, right? So who created it? And the one who created is Chris, right? So this is beautiful functionality that it has. So I hope that helps to better understand, SU01 and user management. So thank you for taking your time to listen to the show, and yes, like and comment, and of course, see you in the next one.